Hi, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurship by Design with Dr. C. I'm so glad you're here with us today because we have a true visionary with us, Marla J. Albertie. Marla has lived on board a United States carrier. Therefore, she feels she is unstoppable. As a native of Jacksonville, Florida, she loves to read, travel, and shop. Many of her travels have been on cruises, as she has taken 16 thus far. Marla believes life is a journey and we all can create the life we want. So why not? You only live this life once. She has a passion to see growth in people's lives and wants others to pay it forward. As an energetic visionary, she is the owner and founder of the Truth Speaks Group, LLC, a multimedia company that creates strategies and solutions for work-life integration and harmony. She also is the founder of the IO for Teens, Inc., a skilled confidence and career building organization teaching teens how to achieve their dreams based on science of human behavior. And thank you so much, Marla, for being here today. It is such a pleasure to have you. And I would love for you to just dive into your journey, how you got here today, and then we can go a little bit deeper.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carolyn. I'm just super excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. So where do you begin? Oh my gosh. Well, so I have to tell a funny joke. So I am a Golden Girls freak. So I go to bed every night to Golden Girls. So you know how Sophia, she starts off once upon a time in Sicily, 1938, right? So picturing 1977. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. No, I'm born, well, I was born right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Home of the Jaguar fans out there, whoever's out there. But my journey, let's see. Oh my gosh, I did a short stint in the military, so I can't not speak about that. And I think that's where I got my leadership development from. I did start working at the tender age of 16. My mom and my parents, they did believe in work, right? Because regardless if you go to school, you still got to learn how to work. So I did start working at an early age, but in the military, I was joined at 17, got in at 18, and I was thrown into a supervisory role. So here I am, 18, 19 years old, supervisor of the ship's door. So back then I was on board the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. And back then, how do you know, how do you lead? I don't know how to lead people, but I learned really quick. But I'm grateful for that time because that has carried me throughout my career. So I have quite a few degrees. I have my associates, my bachelor's, my master's, currently in school for my PhD in IO psychology, which is it's industrial organizational psychology, which is the study of human behavior in the workplace. It has about 25, 26 specialization areas, and I'm just very passionate about it, which is why I started my nonprofit. We can talk about that later, which is IO for Teens. And from there, I've gotten my coaching certification. I'm certified in training through the ATD. I'm certified Chief Happiness Officer, certified practitioner of happiness. So happiness certification, positive psychology. I have all those certifications because I just love learning. I believe in lifelong learning. And starting with my businesses. So the very first business was, it's ongoing now. It's my coaching business. So it's Truth Speaks Group. Started out, if you go to the website, it's www.truthspeakscoaching.com. But I started out as coaching, but then it kind of grew. So I said, okay, I'm going to change the name to Truth Speaks Group because I do more than just coaching. But I started out doing resumes for free. That's how I started out doing. That's how the job started, the career started. And I'm like, I'm doing these things for free. I'm giving people advice and stuff. Maybe I should get paid for it. So voila, there's the business part. And so I decided to go get certified because as you and I both know, coaching is a non-regulated field. You don't have to be certified to make money in coaching. I wanted to understand the philosophy and science behind coaching. So I knew I couldn't get that through my experience alone. So I had to go through some type of certification. So I went through World Coach Institute, which is also affiliated with the ICF, International Coaching Federation. And I got my certifications through them. And then, of course, I've continued on education. And here I am 10 years later. I was actually told, Dr. Carolyn, that when I started my coaching business, that it wouldn't last long. Coaching businesses don't last long. But here I am. I celebrated 10 years in April. Oh. And if I have to guess, I've always just say over 300 people. I know I've coached over 300 people, and the amount of resumes, I don't know, probably 500-600 resumes I've looked at. I don't look at resumes anymore. I don't look at those anymore. that part's gone. And from there, I've just kind of built on So in my business right now, True Speaks Group, what we do is we create solutions for the 9-to-5 working woman to create work-life integration and harmony. I do not believe in balance. There's no such thing as work-life balance, right? 99% of my clients, I have coached men too. So I'm just saying, you have to have your niche audience, but I coach men. But we try to outweigh work and life, right? We try to put work separate from life, but you can't. So since I walked in their shoes, I can help them harmonize. That's why I say put them all together, integrate these things together, because they're not separate. I always like to say, Dr. Carolyn, who lost her dog Scrappy last night, still has to report to work the next day and still be the same Dr. Carolyn, right? So we're still human beings. And I try to focus on that. That is my approach to coaching, is the whole being type of coaching. Yeah. So from there, I've just continued to grow and move forward. I have 2 books, and I'm sure we're getting into all that. I have 2 books and just continue to do a whole bunch of fun things in life.
I love it. You are so diverse in everything that you do. And that's why I was so excited to have you on today too. But I love that you really touched on one thing in particular of work-life integration and harmony, because I used to say years ago, I was like, work-life balance, but it doesn't exist. I completely agree with that. And that's when I started changing. One of my core pillars is work-life integration, because I do believe that you are supposed to integrate life so it makes it more fun. It makes it not so stressful. And there's different seasons in life. I was just having this conversation the other day of how like certain seasons in your life, you got to work a little bit more, or you get to spend a little more family time, but it just changes. It shifts as we go. But I love everything that you're up to. And I want to start with the nonprofit first and foremost, because I have a soft spot for nonprofits, but I would love to know a little bit more about it. If you could tell us about it and how we can support you in that.
Definitely, please. We can use all the support we can get. So as I mentioned, I'm currently in school with my PhD in IO psychology. I will defend this year. Let's knock on wood, waiting on chapter 4 to get approved as we speak. Woohoo! Anyway. So as I'm driving down the road, I said, this is where you do your most thinking in the driving and when you're driving in the shower. So I said to myself, how will teenagers learn about this field? It has 26, 25 specialization areas. I said, how will they learn? So I came home and did what all entrepreneurs do. We Google, right? So I went out there and Googled, I put IO psychology and teenagers. I put it in the Google search so it can just be broad, right? Only thing that came up was a whole bunch of college programs. Well, teenagers aren't in college yet. Some may be, a small percentage, but majority of teenagers are not in college yet. So with that being stated, I said, voila, let's create IO for teens, which is IO psychology for teens. Again, we dropped the P because IOP for teens didn't sound right. So we just say IO for teens. And so we have 4 main objectives. The first objective is to create a robust curriculum based 8th through 12th grade, based on the principles of IO psychology. Right now, we have 11th and 12th grade already created. We're in the process of teaching that right now. Now, keep in mind, I just started this nonprofit back in August of 2022. So we're still brand new. We're coming up on 1 year. I can't believe it's almost 1 year, but we're coming up on 1 year here soon. But we are working with local teams here in Jacksonville, Florida. Of course, me and my big goals, we want to spread that across the country, eventually across the world, because teenagers need to understand that principle. The second objective is to create some type of teaching certification, because we do have a small team. And as we continue to grow, I don't expect for everyone on the team and on the board to teach, right? So we need to create some type of facilitation certification so folks can go out and teach the curriculum. And then the third and fourth objectives are the 2 funds. So we have a community fund as well as a scholarship fund. The scholarship fund is just that, send you off to school with a scholarship, but we're not here to force kids to go to school or go to college. Everyone is not fit for college. And that's not what our aim is. Our aim is to teach you the skills, life skills and principles you need based on a science, because IO psychology is a proven science through the APA, the American Psychological Association. And so they can be able to go off and do what's right in the workplace and do what's right in life. So with that being said, the fourth one, which is the community fund, those are for folks who, I will give a prime example. Last year for Christmas, we were able to adopt a teen and we were able to raise enough money to buy her an iPad because she wants to do graphic art, right? So you don't necessarily need to go to college for that, so that may be a trade or something she can do on something separate or whatever. So we were able to get her an iPad. So the community fund will go towards items like that. And with these skills that these teens are taking, the main thing is two big things about it. Number one is we're focusing on them. We're asking them, what do they want in this curriculum? Okay. And then number two is it's based in actual science. So that's what makes this so unique, this curriculum so unique, because not only are they being exposed to the principles of IO psychology, they get to focus on what they want to do and open their mindset to believe. So it's really powerful. It's the website's www.io for teens, the letter IOFORTEENS.org, teens.org. And like I said, go out there, check us out. We have the curriculum all broken down. So the curriculum is broken down into 5 classifications, because IO psychology, a lot of adults have not heard of IO psychology, right? So we had to break it down. So we have 5 classifications, and that's how we teach the curriculum, broken down in those 5. The first is discover your dream, then chase your dream, living up to your potential, don't get caught up. That's a fun one. Yeah. And the last one is different places, different faces, because you have to learn about culture, and all of that is stemmed under the 25 areas of IO psychology. So it's really fun. We're having a blast teaching it so far. I have quite a few meetings set up because people are interested. People are like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and she's like, is this online? I have a teenager. I said, we're not online yet to where for teens to go out or parents to go out to the website yet to, do online stuff, but you can go to the site and look at it and everything. Right now we're working with organizations and schools and stuff like that to get it into, because I definitely see it more as a after school type program or an elective. I would love to see it as an elective. So I actually have a big meeting next week with our county here, Duval County, to talk about that. So super excited about it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I think it's so important for kids to learn that at their teenage years, because I don't think college is for everyone. I mean, even my husband and I talk about it all the time of like our future children of, well, I'm not sure if we're going to force them to go to college. I think college is great for some people, but not for everybody. And I love that it's just opening up their mind to opportunities. Like what you mentioned with the girl getting the iPad, and because she wants to do graphic design and or graphic art, and being able to just utilize the skill sets we have, but realizing there's different ways. And I love that you broke it down so clearly too, of the steps and what they can go through to really learn it. Because IO psychology, I didn't know what that was until I was in psychology field. Like when I started my master's program years ago, I was like, oh, this is a cool one. I was like, let's specialize in all of it. But I think it's so important too for companies, for schools, but children to learn that. And I would love to see that as elective. I can't wait to see that grow and prosper. Because I think,
thank you so much.
Of course, because I do think it's just realizing there's so much out there. There's a lot of information out there now. Like, of course, Google has really helped with that, but being able to have a program in place that can really be able to utilize those skill sets, whatever they choose to do in life. And that teenage years, how do you know what you want to be when you're like 16 years old?
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
you don't. Right.
But I love that you're really helping so many people, and you've coached so many people as well. And as an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, how do you manage your time, but also maintain that sense of work-life integration?
Oh my gosh. So I get that question all the time. All the time. And one thing I say is I am not a fan of, I don't believe in time management. I don't believe you can manage something that keeps moving. The clock is going to keep moving regardless. So you can't manage that, but you can manage yourself. And I have to say that I am the owner. I am in control of my calendar, right? So I live by my Google Calendar. Even my friends and family, they're like, pencil me in, Marla. Well, I do. I live by I am scheduled on my calendar, right? So I am in control of the calendar, because if you don't control it, somebody else will, right? So I am quick to say, I'm going to go to this or I'm not going to go to that. It's okay. So I think how I've been able to do it all this time, and also what I help my clients in coaching is no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
Right. So I know how to say no to things. It took some time to get there. But I only do the things that I want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. Now in life, we all have things we don't want to do. Right. That's just common sense. Right. But I try to control that as much as possible. Like example, this podcast, we made time for this, right? I am a firm believer in people, you make time for what you want to make time for, period. Whether it's a 9 to 5, whether it's going to your kids' baseball games, whether it's going on a date with your spouse, you make time for what you want to make time for. So when people ask me, how do you have time for all this stuff? I make time for what I want to make time for. And I teach people those principles of how to do that. Because again, you're integrating your life. Now, like you just said it earlier, will there be times where you'll spend more time over here or you'll spend more time over there? If you have a kid that's coming up through high school, they got a lot of stuff going on. If you have a senior coming up, they're so you're gonna have to allocate some of your time to be a part of those special moments. That makes sense, right? So you may not be able to write the full novel because you have a senior getting ready to graduate, but you want to write a novel, right? Okay, so you got a senior graduating, right? So can you sit and write for 15 minutes instead of an hour? So what can you do? So what you can do besides the fact of what you cannot do. And I try to instill this into my clients because a lot of my clients, they'll come to the mindset, Marla, I can't do that. Right, 100% of the time. If you say you can't, then no one's going to argue with you.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
No one's going to argue with you, right? So if you say you can't, then okay, fine, not a problem. But if you can, then you can't, then you will. And if you don't do it exactly to the point that you think you should, what have you done?
Right.
What steps have you made? Look at the progress. Always look at the progress. It's about Carol Dweck. I bring her up all the time. I hope to meet her one day. But Dr. Carol Dweck talks about in her book, Mindset, growth and fixed.
Yeah.
If you have a growth mindset, I have a fixed mindset. So I have a growth mindset. So when people ask me how I do it all, I have a growth mindset. There's nothing in my life that I feel that I can't accomplish. If I can see it, believe it, and do it, then I'm gonna dream it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna have it. I may not know how. The universe doesn't tell us how, right? Law of attraction, I don't know how. But I do have goals, trajectory, and does that mean roadblocks don't come? Of course, roadblocks are there. I'm human. Of course. I've gone through 2 marriages. I've gone through 2 divorces. My dad had to take care of my dad. He's been sick. I've been sick. I have a son. I have a daughter. I have life things going on too. But again, it goes back to what we just said earlier. You make time what you want to make time for.
Exactly. Point blank. And I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm really curious because you mentioned roadblocks and there's a lot of obstacles in building businesses, multiple businesses.
Yes.
But what has been maybe one or 2 of the obstacles that you've encountered and overcome?
Oh, well, I just mentioned it. I've been through 2 divorces, and it took me a while, Dr. Carolyn, to even talk about that, but it's a part of my life. It's part of my journey. I honestly don't care anymore. It is what it is, it has happened. And those have definitely been roadblocks because I've been in school throughout those divorces. I've had to raise my son throughout those divorces. I've had to start over twice throughout through those divorces. My mother passed away through those divorces. I've lost 2 brothers throughout those divorces, so I've been hospitalized. I've been sick. I had to deal with DVT, which turned into a pulmonary embolism back in 2018. Life happens. Life really happens. But I take those obstacles that we just mentioned and say, okay, those were obstacles. But Ryan Holiday has a book called Obstacles Are the Way. And they are. Those obstacles have been the way. I'm not going to sit here and say I want to go through them again, right? But they happened already, right? So it's over with. So where am I at now? How can I move forward? And what can I learn from that? I don't believe in, obviously failure happens, but I'm not a big fan of failure. You learn. What did you learn? Yeah, you failed. Okay, whatever. What did you learn? Exactly. From whatever happened? And how can you move forward? What did I learn from the divorces? What did I learn about myself? Did I spend time with myself? Self-awareness is the first key of emotional intelligence. What did I learn about me? How can I change? How can I grow? Every year you should be a different person. Every year you should be evolving. So in building those businesses, have I had to take pauses? Have I had to stop? Of course, but I think that's with any entrepreneur, and I think any entrepreneur would agree with this. We are believers. We believe in ourselves. We believe in our product. If you don't believe in what you're doing, how can you expect anybody else to do it? How do you expect for anybody else to buy anything if you don't believe what you're doing? You have to first believe it. These people that go on Shark Tank, they believe they have a great product. So they go before the sharks, right? You have to believe you have a great something to offer. And I do. I believe my coaching services and what I offer, my training, my consulting, I believe in my products. I believe in what I do. I believe in what I write. And I believe if I help one person, then I've done my job.
absolutely. It goes back to just really being able to have that self-awareness for
Yep.
ourselves to make that positive impact in our own life first and foremost, so then we can help so many other people. And what advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to create their own path and make a positive impact in people's lives, just like you have?
Yes. Oh, start. I just attended a networking event yesterday, and he said something so powerful. I forget his name. I think his name is Nehemiah. And he said, there's going to be a day one, or there's going to be one day. And I said, oh my God, that's so powerful. I'm gonna steal that. Day one or one day. So when is your day one going to be? Or are you going to do it one day? Start. What can you do? Go back to what I just said earlier. What can you do? Okay, you want to write, let's use the novel as an example. You want to write a novel. Okay. What have you done so far? How have you started? Have you subscribed some YouTubers about novel writing? Have you subscribed to a couple of newsletters? Those are free things you can do. Have you gone to a library and got a book on writing a novel? That's free too. A lot of folks will say, I don't have money. Those three things I just mentioned don't cost anything. Have you started to write? Writers write, people. Writers write. If you want to write a novel, you got to write. Have you started doing that? So I think people think, oh, I got to have a website. I got to do this. You don't have anything to sell yet. What do you need a website for?
Right.
You need a website, right? Start. That is the biggest, I think that's the biggest barrier to entrepreneurs when they want to start something. They got to have all this stuff. They got to have a Facebook page and all this stuff. No, start writing the book. You haven't even wrote anything yet. Start writing the book. Start talking to people, going to networking events. That's free too. So some networking events do cost like $10 or something, but it's okay. Go to the networking event, go to the job fairs, go to what you need to go to get the information you need. Someone's holding your dream. I always say that. No one is self-made. You know, we put these big things on, we see on Time, self-made person, self-made this. Nobody's self-made. Now, it could have been your idea. Like IO for Teens, okay, yeah, that was my idea, but there's no way I'm running this organization by myself. There's no way. If I didn't have the people that are helping me, that we would not be in existence to this day. Even with my coaching business, the stuff that I've done conferences, I've done YouTube channels, I've done YouTube talk show, I've done all these things. Workshops. You think I did that by myself? No one's self-made. Who can you go out to find to help you? Benjamin Hardy has a book called Who Not How, with Dan Sullivan. Who not how? Who can help you? You don't have to do things alone. So reach out, talk, get out of your shell. In order to grow as an entrepreneur, so the second tip I'll give, in order to grow as an entrepreneur, so number one is start. And the second thing to do is to grow is you got to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. If you're scared to do podcasts, then you can do a podcast. Whatever you're afraid to do, you need to do. Yes. And that's what I don't tell people things. I don't teach to people. I don't preach to people. I do what I say. Right. So I have to get out of my shell. Right. I told myself I wanted to do more podcasts this year, and I'm doing them. I told myself I wanted to write more this year, write more articles this year. I'm doing it. You got to step outside of your comfort zone, because nothing happens inside the comfort zone. So those are the two tips: start and get outside of your comfort zone.
Oh, I love those. And I think it's so spot on with just starting, because a lot of times people are like, I need the website. I need this. Yep. I need everything to look perfect in a pretty box. And I mean, like, I'll admit, my third business, I have yet to promote it anywhere on social media, because it's just been word of mouth, and I don't need a website well, I do eventually need a website, but,
but it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. Because you can still make money, but you need to have a service or a product at the end of that, or like to start with, in order to continue to grow it. So I love that you said that. And you're right. It's getting out of your comfort zone. If you don't talk about it, if you don't put yourself out there, how do people know about what you have to offer? It's being able to connect with people, because I believe relationship building is the key element to everything. And that's what you were saying. Well, what I gathered, what you were saying, and what you've been able to accomplish is being able to build those relationships and connect with one another to build your nonprofit, but also I would love to talk a little bit about your book, because I know you mentioned writing, and that's, I think, something so amazing what you've been able to accomplish. But if you could share a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write it.
Sure. So as I mentioned, I coach the 9-to-5 working woman, right? So one thing I noticed as I'm coaching this audience, or this niche audience, is So I'm the type, I ask the deep questions, right? That's what coaching is. We ask those
Yeah.
deep questions that sometimes you don't want to answer.
Yeah.
But those deep questions help you reflect and look at some areas that you may not want to address. And what I've discovered, it's been a trend amongst a lot of my clients, not all, but majority of my clients, is they don't really believe in themselves. So one of the first things I ask them to do is make a list of all the things. If you remove your obstacles, remove spouse, family, kids, money, remove whatever obstacles in the way. Not saying those are bad things, but just remove obstacles out of the way. And what would you do? Make a list of all things you would do. Do you know how many people, Dr. Carolyn, struggle with that? They struggle with that list. And so when we come back for our next coaching session, I say, okay, let's go over your list. Oh, I didn't write anything. You don't have anything you want to do? You have nothing that you like? You don't want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro? You don't want to do anything? And they're like, well, I do want to do such as, okay, well, why isn't that on the list? Because they're constantly thinking they don't deserve it. Or I got the kids, or I have this, I got this 9 to 5, or I have my spouse, or I have family. Okay, we all have that. Everyone has those things, right? So I said, okay, once again, in my entrepreneurial brain, this is a problem. I said, I need to create a fun book. So not only just women, but people in general can decide to brag on themselves. What have you done that you're proud of? What have you done that you want to do? Right? Make a list. So that's what it is. It's the ultimate brag book, 100 questions about how awesome you are. It's a journal. So it's not much reading. You have an introduction, you have your table of contents, then you have 100 questions to ask about yourself. So some of those questions are, what are your 10 favorite restaurants? When was the last time you wrote that down? Probably never. what are the 10 favorite things you love about yourself? What are 10 companies you can run if you were the CEO? And people are like, that's a good question, Marla. What company would I run? Well, I've had people come back and tell me they've come up with characters for other books. I've had people come back and tell me that they came up with business ideas. I have a couple of couples who have actually done the book together. What they'll do is they'll wake up every morning and read one question at a time, and they'll just journal it and do it as husband and wife, or spouse and spouse together. I'm like, oh, they just warmed my heart. I have another young lady that I met not too long ago here, a couple months ago. Her and her daughter, they do the book together. I mean, it's such a wide range of questions. And I made the questions fun on purpose. When was the last time you wrote about 10 favorite things you love about your body? I mean, come on. I mean, and it's okay. It's not mandatory you fill out 10 things. You may not have 10 things, but the whole purpose is to look at the positive things about yourself. Look at those positive things and say, okay, yeah, I do like these things, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not meant to be serious. It's not meant to win an Emmy for you to, be grand, right? It's for you to look at you and start to love yourself more. Because if you love yourself more and realize the good that you're offering to the world, others will see that. And that's where this came from. Again, from my coaching, I realized that my clients weren't bragging on them. They found so many negative things wrong. And so I'm like, well, gosh, what's right about you? What's right? And then they'll be like, oh, well, wait a minute. And I'm not saying every person's like this.
Right.
I'm not saying that at all, but the majority of folks that I've coached, that's what we have discovered. So I relaunched the book back in January of this year, and it's doing well. It's out there. I have another volume I'm working on. I have another book that I'm working on, leadership book that I'm working on. I have a lot of things in the pipe that I'm working on. I'm super excited about the brag book. I've done brag sessions. I actually did a brag session. I'm a volunteer for Girls Inc. And I did a brag session where we go over a couple of questions with the young girls. And it was fun. It was fun because, again, me being a coach, of course, the questions make you think. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you think. I want you to think about you. Think about you. You have time to think about you. You have time. You have to make time.
Yes. And that's been a common thread, right? Making time for ourselves, but also giving ourselves that time and space to think about those questions, like those powerful questions that we give in coaching, but also just even thinking about writing down the 10 restaurants that you love or what you love about your body, but even doing it with your significant other or friends, or just really being able to really get to know each other. And I don't think it's something you're taught in school to really critically think about certain things, like the psychology behind it. I feel like there could be so much more around mental health and whatnot. I'm still a huge advocate, even though I don't practice anymore, but being able to recognize when we are bragging about ourselves, we're really loving on ourselves. Like that's the message I hear from what you have been able to create, and really getting the wheels turning so people can start to really pour into themselves and making it a priority. Because if we aren't taking care of ourselves first and foremost, we can't do all these incredible things that we want to do.
Right.
Or even think about what we want to do.
Exactly.
We're focused on so many other things. Exactly. And even just with your coaches, I know that's a huge part of what you've been able to accomplish for years now. Even when you were mentioning it earlier, everyone was telling you, well, you're not really going to get clients and all these things, but you've been able to continuously grow your business and help hundreds of individuals. Could you tell us a little bit about your coaching? I would love to hear maybe 1 or 2 success stories as well.
Oh, yes, definitely. So I follow the philosophy of SEUQ. So S is strategic. I'm very strategic with my questioning. Empathetic. E is for empathetic, because I'm walking in their shoes. Like I said, 99% of my clients, I've been in their shoes, or I'm in those shoes currently. So I can relate with them. People want to know that you can relate with them, even though I can coach on any topic at any time, right? But people want to know that you can relate with them. Unscripted, I think, is very important. Nothing against those who follow a script. There are coaches out there that follow scripts. I don't follow scripts because individuals are not scripted. Individuals, human beings, we're all different. We're all unique. You're all dynamic. So I don't have a script in front of me as I'm listening to you talk. I am trained to hear what you're saying and what you're not saying, and formulate a question that will make you think. Now, will the question make you dig a little deep? May the question bother you? It might. I don't know. I've had some clients who are like, oh, that's deep, Marla. And if you're uncomfortable, then we can move forward. But I let the client lead the conversation. And then again, I come up with those deep conversations, those deep questions. A couple of success stories. Oh my gosh, I have so many. One young lady, I love telling her story. One young lady, she didn't understand. A lot of folks don't understand the concept of coaching. So I do go over that in my consultation. I don't ever assume, right? Yeah. So when we started talking about the coaching and what it was, and we got into our first session, she looked at coaching as football, basketball, like a sports coach, right? Well, those type coaching, they're telling you what to do. They're like, hey, go here, follow this play, do this, run this over here, run the ball here, do this. Okay. We're not doing that. Coaches don't tell you what to do, right? So so she was kind of looking for me to tell her, to give her answers she was asking me questions. And so as a coach, one thing you have to learn is you can't coach everyone the same, right? So what I had to learn is it was a learning lesson for myself. I had to adjust how I do things here with her. So I did have to intertwine some things in there with her as I coached, and kind of find out we wound up being great. It was a wonderful session. Continued sessions that we had, and hers was mainly career coaching. And she wanted to get into HR. She did wind up getting into HR, and she's in the field and she's loving it. She's doing recruiting right now, which when we started coaching, she was nowhere near. She was doing sales for travel. She was doing travel sales. Okay. So that was a wonderful success story. Another success story I have is a young lady. She was in a bad position at work. Being bullied in the workplace, which happens a lot, but being bullied in the workplace. And so we talked about this toxic environment and what she could do about getting out of it. And she was able to get out of that toxic environment and get into a better position, get into a better, role within another company, and really begin to heal herself. She was also in not a good relationship either. So she was able to get out of that. So when she came to me, she was in all this toxicity, but then when we got done coaching, she was doing great, and she's still doing great to this day. So a lot of my clients, they still reach out to me, they talk to me, they'll ping me. I've had repeat clients come back, and even with myself, I took a break because I was working on my PhD. So I'm kind of picking the coaching stuff back up again. And so even people are like, Marla, are you still coaching? I'm like, yep, I'm back on. I'm here, so those are 2 success stories I've had. It's definitely been a journey. Coaching, I always tell folks who want to be a coach, it is a skill. Just because you have experience doesn't mean you can coach somebody, right? You need to be able to, and this is what I always say, the number one thing is for leadership is you got to like people. So you don't like people and you don't want to hear about their stories. you don't need to coach them. You don't need to lead them, you know, and people like Marla, well, no, duh. Well, you'll be surprised. There are a lot of people who are in leadership roles that don't like people. I know some, you know, so it's true. I'm telling you. So I have to put it out there. You need to like people.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Part of it. Telling you.
It seems something simple that you would think, but you'd be surprised. I've run into very interesting walks of life.
Exactly. I mean, with all the political stuff going on, again, those people need coaching too. Are you going to not coach? I mean, you gotta think things through, right? So those are two success stories that I am very proud of.
Oh, I love it. And I appreciate you sharing both of those. It's amazing the transformation that happens and understanding too what coaching is, because a lot of people have a misconception about it or any capacity about that, but it really is, you're not telling somebody what to do. You're guiding them with the questions to really make them think, dig a little bit deeper than what they might be asking themselves to, and making them think about those things. But I want to take it back to the beginning of your career for a second. I want to say thank you so much for your service. I didn't get a chance to say that earlier.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. But I'm curious, how was your experience on board a United States carrier shape your perspective and contribute to your belief in personal growth and creating the life that you wanted?
Oh my gosh. So it's a double-edged sword, honestly. I just recently came out with this. A lot of folks didn't know that, but I've been diagnosed with PTSD. And I didn't talk about it a lot. My military career, we went through some things on the ship that I won't divulge right now, but went through some things on the ship that a lot of folks, well, even my family didn't even know about. But I'm talking more freely about it because it's things that you deal with and it kind of compounds. But I can definitely say I'm proud of my military service. I think, matter of fact, my bio starts off with, I've lived on a USS naval carrier, so I feel I can do anything. And I do. I mean, I've lived in, those Navy folks who lived on a ship, if you're sitting at your desk, it's about your cot, your bed is about the size of this desk, right? And you have three of them. There's there's three layers, so you're sleeping on the top or wherever you're sleeping, you have two people under you, then you have a little shelf thing that you put all your stuff in. So you're literally living out of a locker. And so I've lived like that. And I think it teaches you the value of minimalism. It also teaches you the value of being strategic in what you have and what you do. And like I said, that's where I learned my leadership skills from. I learned discipline. I learned keeping things in order. There's just so many things I've learned. I've learned value, my own value, right? Because military, they're very strict on values and how they do things. Again, it's ran by people, so people aren't perfect. We know that, right? But it teaches you value and structure. And I like structure. I like to call it organized chaos, but I like it organized, organized structural chaos, because people but you got all this stuff going on, but in my brain, it's organized to me. Yeah. It may not be organized to you, but it's structural for me, and that's all I got to satisfy is me, so it has taught me those lists of things. And I don't regret it. I don't look back and say, I wish I could change it. Wish I didn't have PTSD or whatever, but you deal with it, you move forward and you live life, and I take it as it was only a stepping stone in my life. And I continue to be very active with military people, with veterans, and talking to folks and speaking. I'm very, very active with that because I'm very, very passionate about it. I used to work for Wounded Warrior Project, still a very huge advocate of that organization, still give to them on a monthly basis. So I'm very, very still active in the community.
I love that. And I really appreciate your vulnerability about that as well, and just bringing awareness to it. But I love that it really did teach you that leadership style, but also the structure, because you do so many different things. And I think part of that is people might say, oh my gosh, you have so much on your plate. But what we were talking about earlier, it's that integration and harmony of what you want, where you want to put your time and your energy. And I'm really curious, I know you already said you have a couple things in the pipeline, and what are you really focused on in the next year or so, your future aspirations and goals?
Right. Oh my gosh. So my future self, right? So number one, getting through this dissertation. That's the number one.
That's huge.
That's what we got to get done. So I'm in the process of getting chapter 4 approved. My goal is to have chapter 4 chapter 5 approved in July, then I would like to defend sometime in September, October-ish. I will defend before this year is over with. Daggone it. So so that's number one. Number two, I am working on my next book, which Leadership is Not Rocket Science, 10 Strategies to Be the Best Leader You Can Be. Working on that. Super excited about that. I am also working on the next volume for my first two books. So the first book was 52 Career Tips, Action Steps to Move You Forward. I have volume 2 coming out for that. Then, of course, the Ultimate Brag book, part 2 of that. I already have the 100 questions ready for that one. And they're even more fun questions. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about that. So I've been working on a few of the books. And of course, the nonprofit. The nonprofit is really huge right now. We're blowing up, like literally blowing up. I'm, like I said, making partnerships. So I would love to get this curriculum into the Duval County school system here, and or even just start small. Start small. I want to start. Right, we talked about that, right? Start. I want to start. We may not be able to get to all the schools, which is fine. We have a lot of schools here, but just start. And then, of course, definitely my fun side. Those are 3 serious things, but my fun side is I'm a cruiser, right? So I am going on my next cruise here coming up soon. I've been on 18 and 19 through 25 are booked. So I can't not have fun. Yes. I'm a concert and comedy show junkie. I stay at somebody's concert. I stay at somebody's comedy show. I live life to the fullest, to the absolute fullest. One thing you will not hear me say on my deathbed is I wish when I turn 120. You're not going to hear me say that because I'm going to live my life.
Love it. And you're living proof of it. Just really focusing on really embodying what you preach, and you're practicing and putting it into action of just really having that integration, that harmony. You can have fun and you can build multiple businesses. You can do it all. It's just a matter of where your time and energy is going on a day-to-day basis. Exactly.
If you're spending your time binge watching, and I'm not saying don't do that. I mean, sometimes you need to put your mind on things. I like watching TV as well, but I can't binge watch stuff all the time. If I binge watch all the time, if I'm constantly looking at TV all day long, I'll never get any work done. I'll read something. Come on. So again, it's your time. You make time for what you want to make time for.
Exactly. Point blank.
Point blank, girl. Point blank.
Oh my God. But I've been so enjoying this conversation with you, Marla. Where can people find you, find your book? We're going to link everything below, but if you could let us know too.
Yes, definitely. Please. So thank you again for this conversation. It was just delightful. So you can go to www.truthspeakscoaching.com. Yes, it is Truth Speaks Group, but it's Truth Speaks. I kept the website the same. Truthspeakcoaching.com. Everything's out there. You can email me, contact@truthspeakscoaching.com. Follow me on Instagram, T Speaks Group. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Marla J. Albertie, ALBERTIE on LinkedIn. Then for the nonprofit, please follow us. www.ioforteens.org. Donate if you feel led, if you want to contribute to our mission, our values, please go out there. Our values are Discover IO. That is an acronym. So please go out there and check that out. We take any size donation, gifts in kind, because we're giving stuff to the kids. We're doing like a little goodie bag in the summer. So we need stuff. So please donate, follow us on YouTube. We do a YouTube series. Right now we're doing a YouTube series called You Can Do It Too, where we're interviewing teens. I just did 2 awesome interviews last week where we're interviewing teens that are doing awesome things. So I want to show other people they can do it too. So subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Truth Speaks Group, out there on YouTube. And of course, the book you can go to my website for the book. If you want an autograph copy, it's a little bit more. It's $17.99 because I have to ship it off. So you're going to pay for the shipping. But you can go to Amazon and get a copy of it. And it's $14.99 on Amazon. And it's, again, the Ultimate Brag book, 100 things about how awesome you are. And but the easiest way to find it on Amazon, just search my name, Marla J. Albertie. That way to bring up both my books. So I don't have to go through so many listings.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Marla, for your beautiful energy, everything you are doing to make such a positive impact in the world, especially with teens too. I love the nonprofit that you're doing. I can't wait to see everything that you're doing flourish, and it will continue to do so. But thank you again for coming on and just
thank you so much, Dr. Carolyn. This has been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What was the biggest takeaway from Marla today? She gave us so much insight, but please let us know below, and we will see you on the next episode.